Marjorie Taylor Greene, Donald Trump, Thomas Massey, and the big debacle because Donald Trump called them traitors because they want to sign a petition for the Epstein files. And all I want to say is, what do you expect when you do a deal with the devil? And that's really the T. The T is everybody seeing how Donnie T gonna turn on them if they don't bend to his will. But let me get out their business. Let's talk about these files. Good morning, y'all, and welcome to today's tea you need to know before you hit the dough, while you sip your cup of joe, or while you hit your blow ready, set, let's go. A TikTok creator over the weekend was killed in a domestic violence dispute that had been long and drawn out. Her name was Girl La La La, and she was known for her catchphrase like, clear my set, and girl, you looking so girl la la la. People keep saying you fucked the city up with this one, and now I really understand what that means. She really fucked the city up with this one. Rest in peace. Beware of domestic violence. Donald Trump versus two rhinos. Republicans only in names. Listen, I can say a lot about him, but one thing about him is he gonna give you a catchy nickname. Jerome Tule Paul, he named somebody Darth Vader. Darth Vader. But anyways. So apparently Donald Trump and Marjorie Taylor Greene and Thomas Massey are in a quarrel because they flipped on Donald Trump for the Epstein files, and we'll get to the Epstein files shortly. But so apparently Marjorie Taylor Greene has been getting death threats, bomb threats. They started sending pizza to her house and her family member houses. Like, it's getting bad. And she's saying that this is happening because Donald Trump called her a traitor. Donald Trump say he don't even know who that is. I don't know that woman. That's what he said. And he said he don't believe that she's in danger, but she's a traitor. Apparently and allegedly, Donald Trump and Marjorie been going back on Twitter, letting off their Twitter fingers and or their Truth Social fingers. I ain't had time to look at that or look for that because I've been trying to connect the dots of the Epstein files. But Marjorie Taylor Greene, Donald Trump, Thomas Massey, and the big debacle because Donald Trump called them traitors because they want to sign a petition for the Epstein files. And all I want to say is, what do you expect when you do a deal with the devil? And that's really the T. The T is everybody seeing how Donnie T gonna turn on them if they don't bend to his will. But let me get out their business. Let's talk about these files real quick. So last week, the House Oversight Committee released documents that nobody in Congress has seen yet from the Epstein estate. They did some redactions, but it was literally just a dump. My first view or my first thought was this was a shoddy job. This was handled so horribly. This could have been handled so much better, but it don't matter. We here now. These files are, somebody said they wasn't incriminating. They're very incriminating. They might not be in your face, but they're very circumstantially incriminating. Because they are so incriminating, it appears that Donald Trump has launched a PR campaign with him and Melania to make them look like America's first couple. Because over the weekend, I guess they took pictures. Well, they did take pictures. Donald Trump signed an executive order. Now, Donald Trump signed an executive order after the Epstein files were released, Donald Trump signed an executive order to, help foster kids reintegrate into society so they can get jobs and things like that. He and Melania did this. And so when they did this, I watched it live. They took what they were taking pictures, because I was like, what is this? And I think I said this in another one of my videos. I was like, what is this? What's going on? And so the pictures that they took as they were walking in, and it was bad pictures. They was really good. The photographer needs a pay raise, but they took pictures and they used this picture over the weekend to be like, this is the best couple ever. And I think that's in response to the Epstein files. But what people are finding in these files, tea, hot, steaming, boiling tea. Like, I looked through them, and just as a legally trained professional, oh, these files are extremely damning. And I stopped reading because I was like, I just don't want to know no more. People don't understand what they reading. So, if you take a kid into a sex shop, they're not cognitively aware where they at or what they doing. They just think they at the store with their mom. But when you speak the language and you understand very clearly what's going on in these emails, why do we have these? That's really what I want to know. Why do we have these? Oh yeah, no, I don't think we should have had them. But since we have them now, go ahead and release the other one. So let me give it to you on that. Okay, y'all. So in these Epstein, these 20,000 files that released, there were like so many different people, from people who actively are working in banks, government, politics, and who were actively working in politics when I want to call that boy Jeffrey Dahmer, Jeffrey Epstein was alive. So what it shows is a chain of corruption. I can't wait to do the Early Winter Hustle show. I'm gonna do it later today, and I'll post it tomorrow. But I'm really excited to do this show because I ain't gonna say too much, because yeah, I'm not, like, I'm aware. You get what I'm saying? Being humble don't work as well as being aware. Drake said that. Yeah, I'm definitely aware of what I'm looking at. But these files, they really incriminate not just Donald Trump, but so many different people. Like, this is something that really could collapse the whole United States. Absolutely. So with that being said, and with that in the forefront or the back of your mind, Donald Trump want to go to war with Venezuela. We got some stuff over there. We got some ships over there. And everybody always say that in order to get rid of or to cover up the files because they so bad, he always do something crazy. So they say the crazy thing he gonna do this time, I call him the Mad King. I think he gonna do it. I think he gonna hit them people. But what's really tea is the reason why he hidden Venezuela in the Epstein files from years ago. That's how crazy this is. But next. So in response to the files that released, I heard that the Republicans released some files, but also Paul told what's her name? Pam Bondi to investigate any Democrats that was in those 22,000 files. And let me just say this here. Oh yeah, they actively deleting files, because I read something and I know it's not there no more. I know what I seen with my own two eyes. They actively deleting those files, because I'm telling you, everything that was released should have been redacted. Everything. They don't understand confidentiality or privilege or any of that. That's why you need attorneys to do these things and not just lay people. But that's neither here nor there. I understand why clients want only attorneys to do stuff now. That makes 100% sense. ICE is in Charlotte, North Carolina, and it's interesting. I say, and I summon the powers of Karen and Ken. This is your time to shine, and that's really what's happening. And you want to know what else? Like, as I'm watching this unfold, these not like the Latino, Hispanic culture in the places that they at. They're kind of wealthy, actually. You get what I'm saying? So they have a different sense of entitlement, and they best friends with whoever mom and dad kids they mom and dad work for. You get what I'm saying? So they out there fighting on the front line. I'm honestly, I'm proud. I'm so proud of you. I don't think the optics are gonna play the way, again, and I said this, I don't think the optics are gonna play the way that they played in Chicago and DC, because our North Carolina, Charlotte's predominantly Hispanic areas are surrounded, are entrenched in wealthy white areas, the wealthiest. And these Hispanics and immigrants are not, like, you know what I'm trying to say, they're wealthy as well. Pete Hegseth still knocking off boats off the coast or wherever the fuck he feel like knocking them hoes off it. People feel away because Donald Trump not answering questions about the Epstein files. But last night he kind of flipped his story up. I forgot to tell y'all. So apparently last night, DJT said that he been telling the Republicans to release the files because it's nothing but a Democratic hoax. And people asking, if it's nothing but a Democratic hoax, then why would you investigate this at all? And this more tea, bitch. And shout out to Hawk for really bringing this to my attention. Didn't even cross my mind, but he don't even know he made the biggest mistake because he opened himself up to discovery. And that's insane. So he's kind of like, he is kind of cornered, and you can tell he's cornered by what he's doing, because it's like either way it go, these files gonna come out. But again, like I said, he ain't even answering questions, and he attacking anybody who asks him any questions about it. People think that Jeffrey Epstein worked for somebody that was not the boss of this country, that's even bigger than him. That was even bigger than him, because one of the emails said I have to wait for my marching orders. And I asked that question too, like, who you get marching orders from? But I didn't even pick up on the context of that, because anyways, but I'm going to tell you, and somebody else said this week is going to be very interesting, because a lot of civilians have information that they don't even know is dangerous. A lot of civilians are sticking forks in plugs and don't even know it. And so just the damage control of it all, how will Congress react? How will Donald Trump react? This is all tea we gonna need to know. So I'm gonna try to finish watching looking through or go through or connect the dots that I have so far for the Epstein files that I've looked through, and maybe we'll do a series, because that's a lot of information, and I already think for a living. So using my free time to sit and process shit like that Charlotte's Web is gonna take time. But all right, y'all, this was the tea you need to know before you hit the dough. While you sip your cup of joe, while you hit your blow,